beautiful souls. What does the month of July 2025 hold for us, our future, and the future of our amazing planet Earth? Well, friends, hold on tight, because the month of July is going to be an action-packed month of explosive events, as July is going to be the most intense month of 2025. With these intense transits flowing in while we flow into the 7 vibration in numerology, along with these incoming energies, that's going to make July 2025 a month that goes down in history like never before. So what can we expect in the month of July? Well, friends, for starters, July is going to bring with it this great, amazing spiritual awakening. The 7 vibrations all about shifting our consciousness and shifting the way we look at things. So therefore, so many truths are going to be uncovered, and a big focus on humanitarian efforts. Expect major earthquakes, tsunamis, and sudden flooding, the fall of a big leader, along with the fall of many leaders, major protests and calls for peace, and big shifts and changes when it comes to the economy. So today, I'm going to break down the month of July 2025 into 3 categories. First, the numerology and how you can benefit from it and take advantage of these times. And the powerful 7 vibration, while we also are flowing in the 9 universal year, along with the basic Western astrological transits to help you again flow through this month and take advantage of it, along with very specific visions and predictions provided to me by my amazing team of guides and angels. This is my July 2025 forecast and predictions. Welcome aboard, beautiful friends. And first, a big, huge happy birthday goes out to all our July Cancers and our late July Leos. And if you happen to have a birthday coming up and you truly want to take advantage of the most powerful day of the year, which is your birthday, it is literally your astrological new year. And that's why it gets very intense energetically right before and right after your birthday. Have you ever noticed that? Some people don't like their birthdays, and they don't really have a reason, and the reason's because of the intense energies that flow in. And if we don't know how to take advantage of them, we're not taking advantage of our best future potentials. So if you want to take advantage of your birthday and your birthday is coming up, be sure to check out my video, Most Powerful Day of the Year, and you're going to want to watch that at least 2 weeks before your birthday kicks in. Watch it, take advantage of it, and a big happy birthday goes out once again to all our Cancers and Leos. Welcome to the month of July 2025, and as we step into July, we are literally stepping into this little sanctuary for our souls, friends. A cosmic invitation for all of us to turn inward and reconnect to our inner voice, where we can find all those answers that we seek. We are stepping into the 7 universal month, while at the same time still flowing through the 9 universal year of endings. So therefore, this month is not a time, friends, to rush into things, especially with the upcoming Mercury retrograde. Do not rush into things. Do not react. Definitely don't overreact. Don't react at all, or you may overreact. And it's not a time to rebuild either. Instead, it's really a time to retreat, to reflect, and to realign with those things that align with us the best and with our soul energy. The universe is calling us all back to our center, to our soul center, asking us all to unplug from the noise that's going on in the world. And there's a lot of noise in the world. And it's only going to get noisier as we step into July. So take the universe's hint and unplug. Unplug from the noise from the world and tune into your deeper truths. And that stillness, and stepping into that stillness, will help reveal those truths, friends, your inner truths. So here within the quiet, when you sit into that little quiet space, you're going to meet your own divine guidance. The 7 vibrations, all about spiritual ascension, all about tapping into higher consciousness levels. You have to take advantage of it, though. Sure, there's going to be major shifts that happen this month regardless, and big events that are going to shift the way people look at things, and also bringing people together, which is a wonderful thing. And at the same time, if you take time to do the work, meditate and such, the 7 vibration can be awesome. The 7 vibration is a mystic's number. It's referred to in the Holy Bible throughout. The 7 archangels, the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets. A very, very highly spiritual vibration. And it's a vibration where logic meets intuition and study meets soul. So this month, your breakthroughs won't come through being busy all the time and through busyness. It's going to be actually through contemplation, sitting down and listening to your soul, friends. Whether, again, it's through doing some journaling, or if you like to paint or never painted before, do some painting. Take some walks, clarity, connect with Earth. It's going to be really, really important this month. Meditation is the key to connecting to the inner voice and connecting to the divine. Just simply choosing a little solitude. Even, in the evening, if it's too hot where you're at, in the evening or in the morning, go just sit outside for a little while. I do all the time. Observe the birds and the bees and the trees and connect. July is going to be a month where you're really going to need to do that. And in turn, you're going to get answers. Even if you're not seeking answers, you're going to find clarity, friends. You're going to find a lot. And again, do some journaling, do some walking, meditation, prayer, solitude. All these things can help you gain more clarity. They can also heal energetically, and they can also help us to receive the sacred insights needed for our next evolution, whatever that may be for us personally and on the collective. So paired with this 9 universal year that we're in, this month may also stir up some memories of the past, good memories and maybe not so good memories, especially memories that need some type of an emotional ending. So this can also bring with it big spiritual revelations that can help you to make peace with your past, which is really important. I like to say all the time, the past can be one of our biggest sabotages if we allow it to be. So take this time, this energy in this month to find peace. When those things come up from the past, make peace with them. And this will open up amazing new doors for you in the future. And on a global level, the month of July may feel a little quiet on the surface, but beneath, there's things stirring, friends, big time, especially beneath the oceans. Things are stirring, and it's quite deep. And it's really soul-stirring moment that we're going to have throughout the month of July. The collective consciousness is recalibrating. It's recalibrating, so I would tell you again to expect big spiritual awakenings, ideological shifts in our consciousness and the way we do things, and a rising hunger when it comes to people wanting to know the truth or wanting to know the meaning of things. So that 7 vibration of July is a great vibration for jumping down those rabbit holes, friends, and discovering all kinds of truth, or picking up a new subject or a new book that you haven't read before, especially something that's spiritually grounded in some way or another. So if the world needs anything right now, it's definitely a rise for truth and meaning in our lives and what's happening in the world. And if the world feels uncertain or distant at all to you this month, trust that the work is literally being done behind the veil in the unseen realms. What we see on the surface is nothing compared to what's happening beneath us and behind those veils, especially in that 7 vibration. And it will slowly come out from beyond those veils, like the curtain lifting up in a theater, one curtain at a time, or one stage of the show at a time. It's going to be really, really interesting. And it's a very, very powerful, powerful month within us and literally all around us. It's very powerful. So I tell you, friends, let the month of July, take this month and take some time to do some rest. Maybe go on a retreat. Rest, reflection, and reconnection. Reconnect to those past things. It can be a good thing. You can uncover all kinds of new things. And what you uncover when you sit in silence and sit in peace, that's going to light your path forward, friends, more than anything. When it takes time to act again, you'll know when to act again. But unplug, friends, from the noise and the chaos and take time to connect to the divine spirit, because we'll see also paranormal activities skyrocketing in this 7 vibration, things in the skies, which I'll talk about when I get into my specific predictions. It's an amazing vibration to bathe in. And with all the astrological transits and everything else that's happening in July, it's going to be intense on both good levels and not so good levels. You just have to take advantage of it by taking the advice and following along with what comes through in today's forecast. The pairing in the month of July of the 7 universal month along with the 9 universal year is a divine pairing. A divine pairing that's asking us all to step back, slow down, and listen deeply. The answers that you have been seeking are not within the chaos that you're plugging into in the outside world. Remember, that's just the matrix. The answers that you seek are always going to be in the stillness, in your own stillness. This is a month to recharge spiritually, to clear emotional clutter, and to reconnect with your soul's highest intelligence. So the following are the do's and don'ts of the 7 vibration. What you should be focusing on in the month of July and the things you need to avoid in the month of July. And if you follow along with this, you're going to make July an amazing month of transformation and spiritual awakenings. Starting with the things that we definitely need to focus on and the things we need to do. And the first of those is to prioritize our solitude and our time for reflection. Create a space, whatever that space may be. I created several of them actually around my house because, I am in Arizona and it gets really hot in certain places. And the sun shines here at some times and here at other times. So I have literally 4 different spaces that I created. That I like to go out, just even in the backyard where I like to sit and do work, just to be outside and unplugged. So create a space for yourself in your life for some quiet time. Unplug from the distractions and give yourself permission to just sit and be still. Just sit, be still, relax. Your soul is speaking, but you need to make room to listen. Another important do for the 7 vibration in the month of July is to do some journaling, friends. Write some things down, meditate, and study spiritual wisdom, whatever that may look like for you. This is a wonderful month to explore metaphysical teachings, sacred texts, or do your own inner world searching and seeking through journaling, through dream work, and of course, through meditation. Another important thing we need to do in July in that 7 vibration is to always trust in divine timing. And we should do that all the time anyway. But especially being the 7 is the divine number and vibration. The 7 was sacred to so many ancient traditions and ancient belief systems. So trust, friends, trust. Answers are not necessarily going to come very quickly this month, especially when we step into that direct Mercury retrograde on the 18th of July. But those answers will come, I assure you. Be patient. Be patient in the process, your process, and the process of the divine. And insight often arrives when we least expect it to arrive, but when we also need it the most. And they can come, those answers, in the most unexpected ways. Someone could randomly just say something to you that just totally answered the question. Something could totally pop up on your computer that totally brings that clarity to you. So just be open, be patient, and know those answers will come. We certainly need to honor emotional closures when we're in the 7 vibration of July and also with the transits that are flowing in as well. With the 9 vibrations still guiding us through the entire year, this is a month that can really bring closure to a lot of, long-held questions, relationships, and even soul contracts that need to finally be cut off. So let it all end, and let it all end with grace and with gratitude. And when you let it end, new doors are guaranteed to open up for you. And in my opinion, the most important do for the 7 vibration in the month of July is to reconnect with nature. And I believe we should do this all the time, no matter what vibration we happen to be bathing in. The natural world helps to regulate our nervous systems, friends. It helps to amplify our intuition. Walk, breathe, ground your energy, and let the earth remind you that your soul already knows the way. It's so important to get out there. In places like Japan, they do something called forest bathing, where they take patients out of the hospital in their little hospital beds, and they wheel them out into the middle of the forest, which was scientifically proven by the amazing Japanese people that the essential oils and the fragrances that come off the trees and in the forest and all actually bring healing to the people. And if we go back to the pre-1950s, 1940s or 50s, there was outside sun decks that they would wheel people in the hospital out onto. The sun, being outside, connecting with nature, it's going to be something you definitely not only should do, you definitely need to do in the month of July. Now, these are the things that you need to avoid in order to stay in alignment throughout the month of July, friends. This is really, really important. First and foremost, do not rush into decisions. Now is not the time to force outcomes, or you will regret it. Let July be a month more where you observe things instead of executing things. Wait until clarity rises naturally. Don't push, don't rush. Rushing into things, again, is going to bring you a lot of regret in return. It is so important in July that we don't numb or avoid the inner work that needs to be done and focused on. So if emotions surface, which they will with the Cancer transits and all the other energies flowing in, emotions are going to come up to the surface. Mercury retrograde is notorious for bringing up emotions as well. Do not push them down. Especially you water signs out there, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I know you love to push those emotions down. Remember, emotions can turn into health ailments and diseases in turn, eventually. So work those emotions out, friends. This is a time of deep, deep healing. What you feel now is what you're ready to clear. So let it go, friends. Let it go. Another important don't of the July vibration in the 7 is don't overcommit when it comes to social stuff. Do not overcommit socially, friends. If your energy's low and, listen to your body saying, hey, your energy's low. Take time to unplug from the noise, friends. You don't need to go to that social event. You don't need to run out to that club or to that party or what have you. Saying no to the outer voice is saying yes to your inner peace. And you're going to need that inner peace in the month of July. You're not missing out. You're not missing out on anything. Instead, you're actually tuning in by saying no. So don't overcommit. Now, if you're energetic and ready to go, then yeah, definitely go to the party or go do that. But when your energy low, don't overcommit yourself, friends. Otherwise, you're going to deplete your energy. You'll end up with a cold or something even worse. Don't do it. It is important that we do not seek validation outside of ourselves. Remember that 7 vibration, the answers lie within us, and the 7 can help us tap into those answers much more easily than we could outside of that 7 vibration. This month is about spiritual truth, not public approval or the approval of others. You don't need other people's approval. Let your own worth come from within, not from people's likes or people's praise or people's perfection. I like to say, who cares what they think? That's the attitude you got to take in the month of July. Don't worry about other people's opinion. You don't need it. You don't need to seek out validation in July. In July, don't fear the unknown, friends. Do not fear it. Again, the 7 vibration is going to heighten paranormal activity. You may get visits from deceased loved ones or little things around the house. Don't fear it. Do not fear the unknown. The 7's inviting us to trust the unseen. Even if the path looks a little foggy now, you're going to be guided by the divine and by your own guardian angels, step by step, breath by breath. So do not fear the unknown. Embrace it, friends. Embrace it. And a final blessing for the July and the 7 vibration. This month is not a month of action. It's a month of revelation. The magic of July, friends, lies within our own willingness to surrender, to reflect, and to realign. In this stillness, your soul is being rewired, recalibrated, and being healed to hold more light, more love, more truth, and more peace. A wonderful vibration. I love bathing in the 7 vibration. Your powerful affirmation to help you flow through the month of July with ease and joy. You should say affirmations at least 2 to 3 times a day. And your July affirmation, I am a vessel of wisdom. I am guided by truth. I release what no longer resonates and rests in divine clarity. I am a vessel of wisdom. I am guided by truth. I release what no longer resonates and rests in divine clarity. Amen. Now let's peer to the skies and to the stars to see how these transits can affect us and how we can take advantage of them and how they'll reflect on world events as well. Starting with that first and to me the biggest date of July, in my opinion, July 4th. And I say that only because it's a date I got back in my forecast for 2025. I've been talking about July and even July 4th all year long. And I even remembered that I went back a few years in my mind and I did videos about July 4th. And sometimes things I see don't play out until years later. And now looking at the transits coming in on July 4th, oh baby, talk about a cosmic spark of change or a firework finale of change. This day is electric, friends, with energy and with surprise, big surprises. We have Venus in Gemini, which is going to invite playfulness, intellectual connection, and a desire to explore new ideas when it comes to love, art, and money. That's the positive. And when she meets Uranus, expect the very, very unexpected. Sudden changes in relationships, rapid shifts in values in the markets. So we could see big market shifts and changes with the economy on July 4th. Maybe even a big dive in the economy on July 4th. Flashes of creative genius comes in on that same date, so take advantage of that. Meanwhile, we also have Neptune, which begins its retrograde in the sign of Aries. This is initiating the spiritual cleansing of identity and of ego, which will be really interesting. Topped off with Scorpio Moon, which is heightening the emotions. It's going to heighten the intuition. It's going to heighten our inner truths, helping and pushing along with the whole, 7 vibration. We have Venus entering Gemini. Again, that's all about love and creativity, becoming more curious, communicative, and expressive. It's a great time for writing. There we go with journaling again. The 7 vibration and Venus in Gemini is telling you to do some writing. Maybe even get out there and flirt. If you're single, don't be flirting. If you're not single, y'all, that's not cool. Get out there and flirt, do some brainstorming. And on the same date, July 4th, we have Venus conjunct Uranus in Gemini. That is all about big surprises in relationships with other countries and relationships, your own personal relationships, finances, and when it comes to the media. So I expect the media to be extremely busy on July 4th and July 5th. We can also expect this to bring about breakthroughs or even breakups or twists when it comes to innovation. So that's going to be really interesting. Now, Neptune retrograde begins in Aries, all on July 4th again. A spiritual detox, we can call it. A spiritual detox of ego and of illusions. It's a time where people are going to start to question, am I choosing a dream that's really mine? Or am I choosing a dream of somebody else's? It's going to help us to open up our hearts and really decide what it is we really want. What's going to make us happy? Our own dreams, instead of following the dreams of others and not realizing we're doing so. We also have Moon entering the Scorpio on the same day. This is where the emotions are going to become very heightened on July 4th, along with your intuition too. So if you have a feeling something's going on or something's happening, it's likely going on or happening. So it's an ideal day for some soul deep journaling or meditation, and also releasing any kind of emotional toxins that are happening in your life. And when it comes to July 4th and how it's going to affect the world, this alignment can trigger all kinds of things, especially big surprises when it comes to the news and the media, when it comes to even celebrities or celebrity relationships, which going into my specific predictions later, I see more raids on celebrities. So that could be interesting. Maybe that could play out on July 4th. That would be even more interesting. Also, when it comes to media, markets, and even online communities, there could be big cyber attacks that take place on July 4th, especially against those entities, the markets, the banking system, online communities, whether it be, X or Facebook goes down. They'll tell us it's something else, even though it might be a cyber attack. I would also tell you to watch when it comes to spiritual leaders or influencers of some sort being scrutinized in the public eye or being reshaped in the public eye in some way. July 4th, and that's only just starting July 4th. It kicks off. Pay attention to those alignments and take advantage of them to the best of your advantage. July 7th, another date that I've been getting for quite some time. July 7th is all about revolutionary awakening, friends. It is the 7-7 portal. And at the same time, a major shift begins when Uranus enters Gemini for the first time in 84 years. Over the next 7 years, we're going to see revolutions in communication, technology, media, and even education. And maybe even revolutions amongst the people, too. On the same day, Venus is going to harmonize in the sign of Pluto. So this is going to deepen emotional and financial power. So that whole window from the 4th to the 7th should be really, really interesting and intense. And this energy on the 7th is going to invite transformation in how we relate to things and how we love, too. It's going to shift people in the way they, again, consciousness shift, friends, big consciousness shift. Uranus enters Gemini. Again, this kicks off a 7-year cycle of radical change in those areas of communication, tech, education, transportation. Hey, in that 7 years, we're likely going to be seeing flying vehicles and all kinds of wild, cool stuff in our skies and on the roads, too. And in our way we communicate with each other. Probably we'll start to see holographic, like you see in the cartoon Simpsons where they have the hologram and you're talking FaceTime holographically. We'll have that definitely within the next 7 years. Now, also on July 7th, Venus trine Pluto in Aquarius. This is going to deepen bonds. It's going to deepen bonds, finances, creative power, and it's going to combine sweetness with a whole bunch of intensity, just what we need. So it's a great date to pitch some bold ideas, connect to some visionary collaborators, and connect outside the box, and to seek things outside the box. On the world stage, I would say to expect big tech innovation, and not just on that day, but starting on that day and with the whole Gemini thing for the next coming years. Digital revolutions and sudden shifts in how we actually share information. So we had, first email came along, right? Then we had text messaging. Well, first we had pagers, right? Pagers, emails, text messaging. So the way we communicate keeps shifting and changing. So what other possible way could we communicate in the future? Well, I know for sure that when we reach the higher dimensions of consciousness on the planet Earth, that is when we will begin communicating more clearly on a telepathic level. And that's going to be pretty awesome. So also I would tell you news networks and social media may face some big shakeups starting on the 7th and throughout the month of July. Big shakeups. And then I could see congressional meetings happening around social media and maybe even news networks as too for putting out false information, which we know they do already, but we need them to be caught, not only caught, but be held accountable. Now, this energy also on the 7th also heightens the energy of earthquakes and then brings in food disruptions too, food supply disruptions. And I believe they're all going to begin on the 4th and the 5th, but that window, friends, the 4th through the 7th, and those transits definitely are going to bring in some amazing and some wild things to talk about to our kids and grandkids in the future. On July 10th, we have the powerful July full moon in the sign of Capricorn. And this full moon is going to bring in a sense of culmination when it comes to your career, responsibilities, and your long-term goals. It's going to ask us to release control, perfectionism, and burnout in favor of being more grounded with leadership and spiritual discipline. It's going to shift the way you do things, including the way you do things with your work, career, and business. It's like literally an emotional climax when it comes to your career. When it comes to career, control, responsibility, it's a moment, again, to let go of those rigidnesses, those little rigid edges, just let them go. And all those structures that are no longer going to serve you. Remember, full moons are all about letting go, getting rid of that which no longer serves us. Especially, again, those things that hold you back in your career and business. To make the most out of it, be sure to reflect on where you're overworking in your life and where you're holding yourself to these outdated standards that don't work anymore. Ground yourself into the energy of truth. And on the world stage, I would say that political or corporate resignations, we'll start to see tons of them start to happen, maybe even before the full moon. Maybe around the 8th or 9th of the month, we'll start to see, big public resignations of whether it's political resignations. And I know lots of you, I can hear you in my ear. We hope this one resigns and this one resigns. Well, you might get that wish. Lots of resignations that are going to take place and people being held accountable. That's important. And that's in my specific predictions later in this forecast. Accountability and revelations. Big economic shifts right around that full moon time, too. And then corporate and government shakeups. Big corporate and government shakeups. This month, July and Mother Earth both, is going to shake the heck out of things. Big time. Political or leadership scandals are going to be illuminated like never before. It's going to be interesting. And that full moon is definitely going to illuminate those scandals. We all dig a good scandal now, don't we? On July 13th, we have a retrograde. We have lots of retrogrades in July. This one being Saturn retrograde in the sign of Aries. And Saturn's retrograde begins this 4-month inward reconstructing when it comes to ambition, ego, and responsibility. This is literally a karmic review when it comes to leadership, boundaries, and our independence. Whether it's independence in your own life or independence on the global stage or whatever country or place you may live. It's a karmic review when it comes to leadership. So we'll see that in the public light and a lot of that. A karmic review of leadership, responsibility, and hopefully some more accountability for those that are doing bad things behind the curtain that we're aware of, but we need somebody to pull that curtain down. Those curtains are coming down in July, friends. To make the most of this Saturn retrograde in Aries, just reassess your goals. Release any outdated identities and release anything. You got that waning moon going on, so take advantage of that moon cycle. That's also going to help you let go of things. And when it comes to the world stage, this is going to cause a lot of delays when it comes to the political systems. And even military agendas like peace treaties or whatever, delay, and going back on those ceasefire agreements. It's not going to be peaceful yet, friends. Not in July. There will be in the future, just not in July. Structural reforms, delays when it comes to that. It's a time to restructure, from within when it comes to us on a personal level, but also when it comes to the global level. Big restructuring of things. Remember, those old systems are collapsing. They need to. And then this restructuring from within needs to take place, and this transit's going to help with that. Delays it's going to bring delays with that at first, but afterwards it'll help with that. Delays when it comes to, again, anything political, military, entrepreneur efforts. If you're trying to do something, on an entrepreneur level, expect there to be delays. And that's going to follow with the other retrograde, which I'll talk about in a minute. This is going to be where we could see policies being put on pause or being completely restructured, like the bill. What do they call it? The big, beautiful bill. Not so beautiful. We'll see that challenged or reconstructured. That's just an example. That's the only one I could think of. But you'll see a lot of that happening when this retrograde kicks into place on July 13th. That July 13th retrograde follows another retrograde on July 18th. Mercury retrograde direct in the sign of Leo. Yeah, we're already in the pre-shadow of the retrograde. It actually started on June 30th. The pre-shadow also in the sign of Leo. And if you happen to be Leo, but especially Virgo or Gemini, Mercury rules over your sign. So it can also have a bigger effect on those signs, even if it's your ascendant or your moon sign. So this Mercury in Leo, this is like a 3-week rewind begins, friends, urging us all to literally rethink how we express ourselves, especially when it comes to leadership and creativity. This is a time where we'll see egos egos flaring up, friends, big time. That should be interesting. We'll see people's messages misfire. Remember, Mercury retrograde is all about miscommunications, friends. So you can write a text message meaning all positive. I happened to me once, and somebody totally twisted it. I'm like, how did you turn that message into something negative? It was aggressive. I'm like, really? Like, that's what people do during Mercury retrogrades, friends. They totally miscommunicate things, or they twist things around. So just watch the way you speak and speak clearly and softly. Watch miscommunications. Don't take people's words. Sometimes people don't realize what they say. So remember that. It's a time more to listen deeply than to react or to speak up. You'll see backtrack in self-expression, ego, and public image. It's going to be really, really interesting. So don't launch things just yet. It's not a time to start new things during Mercury retrograde. What it is a time to do is to pick up things that you didn't finish and get them done. Get it done. Get her done, friends, as they say, get her done. But don't start new things. They won't end up working out, especially if you're a Leo or have Virgo, Gemini, or any of those in your 3 top things, sun, moon, or ascendant. Definitely want to follow those rules. Don't sign papers or contracts if you can at all avoid it. If you can avoid it. Sometimes there's things you have to sign and you can't avoid. It's okay. That'll be okay. Also, be expecting lots of delays when it comes to travel. If you're going somewhere, expect there to be a delay. Expect there to be cancellations of airlines, whether it's due to storms or other events. That whole 3-week window is intense. Retrogrades bring in the chaos always in some form or another. And that 3-week window begins on July 18th. So on the world level, again, on the world stage, this is going to bring a lot of miscommunications when it comes to celebrities and leadership communications. So that'll be interesting. The media twisting things up and turning things backwards. The whole public narrative being rewritten. There's going to be a lot of media blunders, public figure blunders, and a lot of communication delays again. All kinds of communication delays. This is a time where you could see the internet go down or your cell phone go down, all that. Just starting on the 18th of July. That's taking us all the way into the second week of August, by the way. So take it light, friends, and pay attention to what's happening in the world because lots of things go crazy. I give you an example. When they announced lockdowns or announced the 2020 bug, that was during a Mercury retrograde. Right during the energy shift. That energy shift in July actually begins on the 10th, the full moon, the 10th of July. So from the 10th of July all the way into that 3-week period, it's going to be intense. So hang tight, friends, expect delays, and don't get frustrated, and watch your miscommunications. On July 24th, we have the new moon in the sign of Leo, a radiant opportunity to set your intentions. That's the new moon, friends. Setting your intentions, especially around this full moon. You want to set your intentions around creativity, leadership, and basically living out loud, friends. Be loud, be proud. This illumination is going to be all about stepping into our power, and to do so with boldness and with grace. So I would expect as we round off towards the end of July, and especially in August, we're going to see major protests breaking out. Major probably rioting and things turning out sour. We'll see that throughout the whole month of July, but especially as we get towards the new moon. That's going to bring out all kinds of people, and it's people stepping into their power. People wanting change and demanding change. So it's the boldest new moon of the year, they say. The boldest new moon of the year. So set your intentions, friends. Set your intentions for visibility, confidence, passion projects, soul-led leadership, and any other intention you have in that in which you're manifesting. Perfect time to do so. Powerful time to do so. Also, we can expect there to be big announcements when it comes to leaders and leaderships, especially when we see resignations and then new leaders going into place. We can also see some, Renaissance movements taking place during this time. The new moon's a really good energy. At the same time, we'll see earthquake activity heighten up and storm activity around that period as well. On July 30th, things get a little crabby, only because Venus goes into the sign of Cancer, which is actually a good thing. That's when the energy is going to soften up a little bit. Venus moves into the nurturing sign of Cancer, shifting our focus to the home, to emotional safety, and to receiving some loving support from others or giving loving support to others. This is a beautiful, close to a really mentally intense month, especially ending off the month. So to make the most of it, just reconnect. Use that Venus in Cancer to reconnect with family, with old friends, to heal some old love wounds that need to be healed. And that's something you may see. You may see people come up from the past, maybe old loves, cross your path, bring up those emotions. That's happening so that you can release them, and release them with ease and joy, friends. On the world stage, we're going to see a lot more emphasis when it comes to more caring of people, when it comes to housing reforms or even emotional issues when it comes to real estate, maternal care again, and our food supply. That's a big one, friends. A lot of emphasis on the food supply and the food chain. So emotional topics can become very, very, very center stage when this alignment comes in. People are passionate. Again, Venus in Cancer is going to make people passionate and having them wanting to nurture. And sometimes that may come off not necessarily the way people want it to come off. So be aware of that. But overall, this month is literally a cosmic curveball in this whole big spiritual cleanse that's happening. With the 7 universal month guiding us on our inner journeys and these massive, massive shifts that are happening in the outer world, July is a portal, friends. It's a portal between reflection and reinvention. So let the unexpected awaken you, friends. Let it happen. Let the silence teach you by meditating and going into silence. And let your soul speak louder than the noise that you're hearing in the world. And in order to do that, you have to unplug from that noise. Turn off the telly. Put the phone down. Leave the phone in the house and go outside. Even again, if it's sitting out in your front yard or on your patio or what have you. It is a great time for reflection. This month can be an amazing month as long as you take advantage of the transits and the vibrations that are flowing in. Another powerful affirmation for the month of July: I am open to divine downloads. I trust the process of change. I create boldness and I lead with light. Again, I am open to the divine downloads. I trust the process of change and I create boldness and I lead with light. Hallelujah. Beautiful friends, I'd like to take a moment just to welcome you to my channel and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name's Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, and I welcome you with open air hugs. And I hope you're having a really great day today. And if you are new here and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with this awesome tribe, be sure to smash that there subscribe, the bell and all, so that you get notifications. Also, it's always very, very helpful to hit that thumbs up love button. It helps this channel and it shows your love for all the time and energy and effort that goes into all the content on this channel. But it also will help similar content like this show up on your feed so that you get more of it. So you're helping out the channel, you're helping out yourself. So please do give that thumbs up love button and click. Down below in the description, you'll find all the links to my social media, including the free newsletter. Sign up to that newsletter right before the beginning of the month. All the astrology, numerology, and all the past content is in that newsletter. And any upcoming events or anything that I may have going on. And if you want to find out more about myself, go directly to my website, josephtittel.com or spiritmanjt.com. If you receive a message privately on any social media platform, likely it is not me. Whether it's especially if it's on Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok. They steal other people's pictures and create fake profiles and message you, making you assume that it's that person. So be aware of that. The best direct contact with me would be directly on my website, spiritmanjt.com. Also, see all the other social media links down below in the description. Let's move on with some very specific visions and predictions for July 2025. Friends, we have just stepped into the most intense month of 2025. A month that I have been talking about since December and in my 2025 world predictions. There is so much happening this month. It's like, where to start, friends? Where do I start? There's going to be a rise in global compassion, a desire to eliminate wars and bring more peace. A wonderful thing indeed. The collective is going to get really, really weary with the world's events. This is a turning point, friends. This is the 7 vibration of July and the other transits and the 9 universal year that's all going to bring with it this huge transformation and huge spiritual awakenings. Something that is extremely likely this month actually goes back more than 2 years ago in my channeled predictions, where I first saw a huge blast coming out of the Pacific Ocean, causing massive tsunami waves. As we get closer and closer to 2025, and now that we're in 2025, these visions that I had years ago and my feelings are getting stronger and stronger. And now looking at the numbers and looking at the transits this month, to me, it's inevitable that we are going to see massive earthquakes and tsunamis in the month of July. 2025 is the 9 universal year, friends, and that rules over humanitarian focus and efforts. Accompanied with the 7 vibration of July, huge spiritual awakenings, it would make so much sense, in my opinion, it would make sense that such an event would take place under those vibrations. I had visions of massive waves 3 times larger than the ones that hit Japan back in 2011. And I felt record-sized earthquake. I'm talking upwards of 10.0. And this sense that afterwards, this is going to be what pushes for a change in the magnitude scale in the way they record earthquakes after big events. In general, in the month of July, major focus when it comes to water. This goes back to, again, my 2025 world predictions. We are literally stepping into this rare season that I would refer to as tsunami flood season, starting this month. And actually, really, it started last month because there were lots of floods. I mean, look at what just happened in China, which goes back to my past predictions. And another thing, too, is an area that I pointed to in the Pacific on my weather predictions and my map scrying. I just noticed and looked at the earthquake map, and there's earthquakes happening in that exact area where I pointed. So I have no doubt that activity is happening in the Pacific, and that Pacific is likely going to blast sometime in the very, very near future. I really hope not, but to me, it feels pretty inevitable. And going back to this whole season of tsunamis and floods, sudden storms, flash flood events, and even in my June forecast and predictions, I stated that we would see lots of issues with boats, ships, and basically anything on the water. Jet skis, we saw the jet ski incident that happened in Florida that was all over the media. And even rogue waves tipping boats over, which also just happened recently. And an event that also played out in Lake Tahoe with the sudden surges of waves hitting Lake Tahoe, which was really crazy. We're going to see more of that in July like never before. Crazy sudden surges of water. I feel we are going to see 3 large tsunami events in the month of July, and perhaps even in early August. It is the first week of July that has been the heaviest energy. When we looked at the transits and going back to my past predictions, again, going back over 2 years ago, it makes the most sense, especially all the transits on July 4th and on July 7th, and that window of time between July 4th and July 7th. Something to keep in mind, too, July 4th here, when I'm looking at dates, and I give you dates later on, dates are what I get here in America. And sometimes if it's, July 4th here, depending if it's in the afternoon, it may be a different date somewhere else in a different country. So we're going to see the first of these massive quakes coming in, I believe, right around July 3rd and July 4th. And these transits going into place, to me, point directly to that. And then also July 7th. July 4th and July 7th have the heaviest energies in my feelings and in my intuitive feelings. It's also the 7th is the 7-7 portal. So we have to watch closely, friends, from July 4th to July 7th. And I would even say starting on July 3rd through July 7th. The 4th and the 7th being the most intense days. Areas of concern when it comes to tsunamis and earthquakes, of course, is going to be Japan, the Philippines, Taiwan, and nearby areas. And going from my past visions and predictions, of course, Japan is already seeing an uptick of earthquake activity. India is another area of concern for a very large earthquake, as well as the west coast of South America, which would be, Peru, mainly Peru. I would say Peru. Now, not only that, Australia comes to me very strongly. Our friends down under. And I've been feeling really strongly lately that Australia is about to have their hands full with a very devastating earth event. Whether that be tsunami, storm related, something big's hitting right around Sydney, Australia. And as crazy and even as scary as some of these events may sound, and may be, they're truly a turning point, friends. They're a turning point for humanity, a point of ascension, a point of transformation, a literal paradigm shift for the entire planet. So remember, in turn, friends, never be scared and always be prepared. Water events in the month of July are going to be off the charts. Whether it be the tsunamis that are going to be hitting in July, the rogue waves taking down boats and ships, and rare sudden storm surges and flash flooding. I had visions for Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and parts of California being hit with major flooding and flash floods. Parts of Australia, Spain, and even Italy are going to have their hands full when it comes to flooding events coming up in July and even in early August. I see some types of waves, maybe very large rogue waves, we could say, or even smaller tsunami waves, hitting the northern parts of California all the way up to Washington. And speaking of Washington State, I was meditating yesterday, actually, outside doing my sun meditation that I do every day, which actually I'm past due. I'm going to go out there and do that as soon as I'm done recording this. I was out there meditating, and then just out of nowhere, I saw a large volcanic eruption and was pulled to Washington State. So I'm not sure that this is coming in July necessarily, but having that vision and being outside, not even tuning in, I was just taking some stillness time. And that came to me, clear vision of it. It was pretty, I think Mother Nature's beautiful when she unleashes blasts like that. So I'm not saying again July, but definitely coming up in the very near future. Water contamination is going to be another huge problem in focus and part of the media headlines that play out in July. From contamination of the waters that occur after an earthquake or tsunami events, water being brought into many areas because of water shortages. I had visions of water being trucked in big trucks and even bottled water. But I saw water trucks that hold big things of water. And then I saw, trucks loaded with bottled water going into certain areas that looked like it was devastated in some form or another. So water being brought in also not just because of shortages, perhaps also due to water main breaks. And that's another thing we're going to see in July. Major water main breaks in big cities across the globe, causing, temporary water outages. So that's why it's always make sure you got water on hand, friends. Make sure you have water on hand. And we're also going to see above normal amounts of, boil your water advisories. You must boil your water. So you're going to see a lot of that, especially, again, in city areas. And if you're going out on the water, friends, any body of water, don't care what it is, even the swimming pool, be very cautious. Just be very cautious and mindful. Don't be paranoid or you'll make something happen. Caution and mindfulness. There's going to be way too many incidents and accidents when it comes to the waters, from boats to jet skis to even a cruise ship caught up in the waters. We're going to see many beach closures and we're going to see many swim advisories as we suddenly see these strange bacteria growth. Sudden strange bacteria growth, extreme riptides that pull people under, which will put so many swimmers at risk. So that's why I say be mindful. And they will be sudden riptides. All of a sudden there's no riptide and then there's a riptide. It suddenly just shows up and pulls people in. So we will see quite a few beaches closed due to these causes, but also due to these sudden shark-infested waters. It felt sudden, like all of a sudden everything's fine, and all of a sudden there's a whole pack, kind of like the pack of dolphin that come in, packs of sharks. I don't know where I was, probably in multiple places, but it felt a little odd and a little different to me for sure. I also see large amounts of fish and water creatures being affected in different ways across the oceans. I see large amounts of fish that wash ashore, including large mammals such as whales and dolphin. Much of this feels to me like it's connected to the Pacific Rift, as I call it, the rift, which is basically an underwater eruption. While another incident feels to me like it's related to some type of contamination from a spill or something. Like something that felt like they purposely put it in the water, but then they got caught, which isn't good. I don't know what they're putting in the water, but they're getting caught anyway. And I could go on and on, friends. I could go on and on just about the upcoming water events in July and even playing out in early August. And I'll actually will have to do a separate video on July predictions just because this month of July has so much going on that it's just so much going on that I'm just going to have to do a whole nother video just on predictions. But overall, friends, weather and earth activity, so volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, so forth, all of these and all of the above are going to be off the charts in July. Off the charts. So remember, friends, always be safe and be aware of coming weather events. Keep your eye on the weather. Because a lot of this feels sudden to me, like sudden floods and sudden things. A lot of suddenty to it all. So remember, you and your loved ones don't want to get caught up in the flood, or even worse. So just keep your eye on what's happening with Mother Earth. Next up for July and running into early August is going to be major global issues with both cyber attacks and major outages, especially with the Mercury retrograde influence that's coming up. Remember, we're in the pre-shadow the whole month, but we go direct on the 18th, making it even more intense. So when this all comes in, this is going to affect communications. So I tell you, friends, expect to see communication companies going completely silent. Problems with cell phone outages, cable network outages, and of course, major power outages. This includes outages on big platforms, social media. I see a point where TikTok goes down in certain areas, not completely, but in certain areas. I see Facebook going under in several countries and even being hacked or cyber attacked. And that includes, of course, the X platform as well. So all of these are going to experience major outages. It's going to be, I'd say, a record-breaking month when it comes to all that. I see issues coming for several countries. I believe closer to Asia, actually. Whether it be, say, Vietnam, the Philippines, Taiwan, that area of the globe. And, all around China and that whole big continent up there. I see internet outages, big internet outages, and internet outages that come after some type of a large disaster. Likely, again, an earthquake of some sort that somehow powers out their internet connection. I also see issues for underwater communication cables. Remember, the waters are a big influence, so that doesn't just include what's on the water, it includes what's under the water as well. And that includes cables. Remember, that's how the whole world connects, through cables that are under the ocean. Some of them, I feel, are going to be sabotaged, likely connected to the conflicts that are happening between the Middle East or over there in Europe. So we're going to see more sabotage of internet cables. At the other end of this, I feel like something else is happening under the ocean that affects the cables. Likely the big rift that I see in the Pacific. I say rift because to me rift is a big crack and a big explosion, and that's how I saw it in visions. Again, going back to late 2023 when I first saw it in channeled predictions. And so that's not even 2 years, really, 2023, a year and a half ago that I saw that. Sometimes things take 2 to 3 years to play out. But with all the alignments, it just makes sense to me it would play out more now. And the internet cables and communication cables being affected also align with the Mercury retrograde, which affects communications. So much happening, friends. I also see an entire city going dark. Now, I said this before, and what happened soon after? We saw what happened in Spain and France, right? They went into complete dark. I see this happening again. But it reminds me, and it looks like, so with Spain, it was, I think, during the day or early evening when their power went out. This was dark, and everything went dark. It was interesting. Dark and went dark. So it was already kind of dark outside. And it reminds me, of those outages over there in Europe. But I feel this is really big and really significant. And I believe this could be New York City and Long Island, New York, having a huge outage. And I also feel that some type of large outage on the west coast of the United States as well. I believe this is going to be around Los Angeles. Problems with power around Sydney, Australia, France, and parts of Israel, and strange power issues throughout the entire Middle East. So that would the entire Middle East, Spirit said. But the one in New York, that area, and the one in Los Angeles felt concerning to me. And I would say it felt very concerning to me because it's likely being conducted by the deep staters, as I like to say. I have a very strong feeling that when the city goes dark, folks need to bunker down just to stay safe. Not to go wandering out and seeing what's going on. Just stay safe, bunker down until the power comes back on. And the coast is completely clear. but it felt shady, and it reminds me of a vision I had of a switch just being turned off, like they're turning it all off on purpose. So let's hope not. I also feel some type of cyber attacks are happening in Las Vegas, in the Vegas Strip. And this may include some power outages along the Vegas Strip. And we're going to see big cyber attacks around the banking structures, cryptocurrencies, and many which we're going to be told is just software updates or some kind of glitch. They'll make up some kind of excuse, but they're cyber attacks, friends. Don't let them fool you. It's a big month of cyber attacks. Some other excuse, again, they'll come up with any kind of excuse they can to hide the truth. So some of these there'll be a few that may be a glitch, but the majority of them are coming cyber attacks. And there's also hacking being done on medical databases and government databases, United States, Canada, and throughout Europe, according to Spirit. July is no joke, friends, when it comes to dealing with so many outages and so many cyber attacks. So when your internet goes down, do not panic. And remember, no matter what happens, this too shall pass. Expect there to be huge fluctuations in the markets in the month of July, both stocks, cryptos, and other markets across the globe. As July is going to be a roller coaster ride of mostly downs and not ups. Things crashing in some countries, really crashing. Economic falls for China, Japan, India, and many others. July, if you play your cards right, actually, friends, if you play your cards right, July could be a great month to jump into some of these markets. Jump into tech stocks. Jump into AI stocks or anything else that looks pleasing to you. Because once they tumble down, they're going to have to go back up again. And we know about the insiders. And, we can always sit back and watch the senators and the Pelosi family and see where they're placing their bets in July. And you're going to want to place your bet on the same numbers that they place their bets. Now, this includes cryptos such as Ethereum and XRP. July could offer up several windows to get in and just wait for the big bounce back. And then you'll make tons of money. Remember, August is an 8 universal month in numerology, which is all about money, finances, and the markets. So by late August, things can really rebound quite a bit. So keep an eye on July. It could be a great month for you to invest. Now, if you have stuff already invested, it could also be a great time of loss. So you got to keep an eye on that. Now, I feel that there's some type of plan to hit Wall Street in some way. And I'm not clear exactly what this plan is. And when I say plan, people are saying, who's planning? And I just would say, I like to call them the evildoers. But the deep staters, there's all kinds of names we could come up with. But those people, the ones that hide behind the curtain, like on The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, exactly. So cyber attacks are something else that they're planning for hitting Wall Street. And we're going to have to wait and see. I'm not saying that this is happening in July necessarily, but it's very, very possible due to, the transits and the 7 vibration and all that we're bathing in right now, which is all about the 7 vibrations, all about shifting our mindset, accompanied with that 9 vibration of endings, which can bring endings and downfalls to many of the markets across the globe. Speaking of endings and downfalls, I feel that there's going to be several quite shocking, sudden, unexpected passings when it comes to world leaders. And one feels to me to be related to some type of an accident in the air, whether it be by the airplane, by a helicopter, or something along those lines. I feel, as I predicted in the recent past, that many leaders are going to be taken out. We saw that, and I said that earlier a couple months ago, and we saw all the leaders in Iran that were taken down in the month of June. Well, I see 1 or 2 that appear to me in the near future to be assassination attempts. I see 2, actually. One seems to be, with both of them with pow-pows. But one seems to be from a distance with a high-powered rifle from a distance. And I feel one of these is not successful at all, but likely the other one is. The one that is, I would think, would probably be the one with the high-powered rifle. If someone has a high-powered rifle, they must be able to use it, but maybe not. I don't know. I can only tell you what I received. But I see two different ones. And, I have warned that there was going to be another attempt on President Trump. I predicted this last year, the attempt that happened to him in July last year in complete detail before it occurred. Being that July for the president is his 9 personal month, and July also can make for some challenging times for him. They will, without a doubt. But that 9 vibration can make it challenging. The 9 can also put one's life in jeopardy. Can also put the lives of those around us in jeopardy, like somebody passed away. For example, a friend of mine was in his 9 year, and then his partner passed. And when she passed away, I forget what number she was in, but sometimes we have losses when we're in the 9. So it might not necessarily be that the president passes. It may be that he loses someone close to him. But regardless, the 9 also reflects on health and such too. So he needs to be aware of that. But right now, this is about more of the fall of leaders and not necessarily his health, because we already can tell that his health is not that great. But he's definitely going to be needing to focus on his health. And we'll probably hear some things in the news revolved around his health in the month of July. I would also expect July to be a month where the deep staters, the evildoers, take out Iran's leader, because we know that's what they want. And we know that's the whole goal there. And that's all conducted by the deep staters, no doubt about it. We know that they're all pushing for it. So I would say that, and I should have looked up the Ayatollah's birthday. I forgot all about that. Never even thought about it, actually. But I would say that every world leader right now in the month of July is at a high risk, extremely high risk. And this includes, members of parliament, senators, and basically any political person. And this also would include judges, justices, along with heads of big corporations. It's going to be a wild, wild month, friends, when it comes to seeing people fall from position one after another. Some will be because they resign or they're pushed out, but some will be taken out, if you know what I mean. Or there'll be attempts, especially when it comes to, again, members of the political parties. Again, judges, senators, such, which is crazy, but that crazy we're about to witness. Truth and justice is a big highlight for the month of July as we swim through the 7 vibration, which is great for bringing forward whistleblowers, friends. Whistleblowers, truth bearers, and basically calling out the justice system for their injustices. So July is a month where I feel that we could see another raid that occurs on a celebrity's home, like we saw on, say, P. Diddy. A raid on their home, law enforcement, FBI. Maybe it'll be Oprah. Or somebody like that. I don't know. It could be somebody in another country. It doesn't have to be here in the United States. But we're going to see a lot of that playing out. We're also going to see more amazing rescues happening in July when it comes to those caught up in traffic, if you know what I mean. And we also could potentially see my vision that I had earlier this year or late last year, where I saw a large rescue taking place of all these little ones also caught up in traffic that were basically tucked beneath the earth in these tunnels, beneath our feet. And I believe this may actually play out somewhere in Africa, but this could play out in July potentially. Now, I saw that, I think, end of last year. I saw those visions of those rescues. We have not seen that rescue yet, but July is definitely a big month for exposure and rescues and things. That's a really wonderful thing. So much truth is about to leak out with the 3-letter agencies and other government agencies, whether it be, here or other countries. And that's the key word, government agencies, whether it be justice. And that's the question, justice and accountability. That's not the question, actually. That's the statement, justice and accountability, finally. Because July is a month where we finally actually witness, we witness some accountability. July is a month where we finally do see that begin to play out. And even around justices, actual judges or justices, and the guilty finally being held accountable. About time. Not as quick as we would like it, but at least it'll start to happen. I also feel that some of these justices will be coming around some kind of justice around Bill Gates and his friends. That includes Fauci, who I feel is somewhat hiding right now. They probably both are, but Fauci feels like he's hiding to me, knowing that he could be, they could be coming for him any day now. He knows it. So many others within that web of darkness and the gates web of darkness are about to be exposed in huge ways, according to spirits. Huge ways as we flow through the month of July. That's huge. Looking forward to that one. Keep your eye to the sky in July, friends, for it's going to be beyond just fireworks blasting off in the skies. The 7th vibration of July, that is all about spiritual awakenings. It's all about shifting your beliefs and, of course, the sky and solar system as a whole. All of it, all represented by that 7th vibration. So July is a month where we can see increased incidents and accidents with airplanes, helicopters, or more failed space shuttle missions. Moreover, we're going to see more activity in our skies. Major activity when it comes to drones. Drone invasions in some countries. Probably over there with the Europe, Middle East thing. Major drone invasions. Drones will be a big highlight in the month of July. Now, I said this back in November of last year, and we remember what happened back in December of last year with the drone invasions that happened. Or maybe I said it in October. I could be off on my months. But it felt like that same kind of vibe to me. And then it played out. So drone invasions in our skies again, friends. Not only that, yes, UFOs, UAPs, or whatever else you want to refer to them as these days. Major heightened activity, huge heightened activity with UFOs, and even stories hitting social media of aliens, alien encounters. But Spirit warns us to be aware, friends. Be aware. There's a lot of manipulation out there. A lot of manipulation with some of these coming UFO alien events. Remember, the 7th vibration shifts our beliefs. The deep staters, the evildoers, they know this. They use numbers and astrology to their advantage. So we shall do the same and use it to our advantage, knowing this and tapping into your intuition instead. Because your intuition will greatly increase in July, especially if you meditate, especially if you take time to pray, meditate, and take a little time to disconnect from the chaos and get some quiet time to yourself. So that in turn, when these events do play out in our skies and throughout the globe, you're going to easily identify on your own what's real and what's unreal. What's good and what's not so good. And we're also going to see many things falling from the skies. Having many folks yelling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Whether it be unusual meteors, like we just saw that ball of fire that just went through the sky here in the United States in the past few days. And I'm recording this on the 27th of June. And you're not seeing this until, I think, 29th of June. But I'm recording this on the 27th of June. So sky events, meteors that make it through the atmosphere and hitting the ground, space debris, and even a falling satellite. Fortunately, that falling satellite does fall into the ocean, but it does make the media because they probably aren't sure where it's going at first. Other things, too, that are really important in the month of July, again, going back to water, bridges. We're going to see a lot of structural damage, probably from the earthquakes and maybe conflicts, but earthquakes. I see a lot of bridges collapsing. And not just bridges that go over water, but, overpasses on highway systems. I see a lot of them collapsed in my visions. So something definitely is happening. It's got to be, I would imagine, earthquake related. I see a bridge plunging into the water, which also looks like it's earthquake related. Separately, I see water just floods, smashing bridges to smithereens. This looks like this could be happening in China and other parts of Asia. And China's getting hit majorly with floods, as I predicted they would. But it's going to get even worse for them in the near future. And then dams. I see big dam breaks. Oh, damn. It broke. Yeah, it's going to break. Some of these are from water, but I also see one as I went back to past visions or past channeled predictions where I saw one being set up with explosives and blown up. That could play out this month with the water things that are happening and all the other transits and the numbers. That could very well play out this month. I hope not, because that looked like a fear type of attack. It looked shady. They were setting it up and purposely blowing it up. I don't know where it was. Could even be the Hoover Dam. Who knows? But we're going to see a lot of things and a lot of stories around bridges and dams and anything connected to the waters. So hold on tight. And again, just always remain mindful. Don't be scared. Just always be prepared. and know that you're always safe and the universe will always keep you safe. Some very important dates for the month of July that I need to put out there. First, starting, of course, with the date July 4th, which is, in my opinion, the biggest date of all. And again, keep in mind that when I provide dates here, they're the dates for United States. So July 4th here in the afternoon is July 5th in many other countries. So that's why I go to that whole window of time, July 4th through July 7th. Big important times. And we can even actually push it a date and say July 8th. July 4th through July 8th. That's the other date, July 7th. That's another big one, friends. So July 4th, July 7th. July 7th is that window again, July 4th to the 7th, the 7-7 portal. A date that could very well be used by the evildoers to, pull off some type of huge event. They did it on 8-8. Remember when the 8-8 portal happened and Lahaina happened on the same day? There's no coincidences, friends. None at all. They use dates to their advantage. And the astrology. We know that. So pay attention to 7-7. July 4th is Independence Day here in the United States. So something very big could play out right on U.S. soil. I think it's going to be more of a global thing. Both, probably both. And some other dates, too, is the 7th and the 11th. The 11th jumps out. So we could even say that whole window from the July 4th to July 11th, actually. Not the 7th, but the 11th. That's the really intense time. And we're not even in the direct Mercury retrograde by then. But still an intense window. Jumps out at me so strongly. A couple other dates that jumped out at me is the 22nd, the 24th, and July 25th. All those jump out at me. And when dates jump out at me, they are dates where potential big events or some of my past predictions could likely play out. There you have it, beautiful friends. That is my forecast and predictions for July. I will be putting out more prediction video just on predictions specifically for July because there's just too much to talk about. Too much happening. And being you made it this far in the video, please do give me a thumbs up, love button. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to put this forecast and predictions together for you. You couldn't imagine the time and energy that goes into it. A big thank you to all the supporters, whether you're a member of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community or the members of this platform and the contributors to this channel, who all make this free content possible for everybody else. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Remember to visit me directly on my website, spiritmanjt.com. And don't answer messages on social media platforms that appear to be me because it's likely not me. And until the next time, friends, I hope you have an amazing month of July. And once again, a big happy birthday to our July Cancers and late July Leos. And until the next time, friends, remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love, friends. Much love.